Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Javadagi Varadhari Gopi Javadagi Varadhari Yasodhananda Rajanana Yamuna Jaya Radha Bihari Gopi Jagadabhari Gopi Jaya Radha Madhava Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Madhari Yamuna Tiravanachaari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Mr. Pa Paramahamsa Prabhajakacharya Stota Kata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananda Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Swami Vivekananda His Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki Prem Jal Ho Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Srimad Bhagavatam Gantharaj Ki Oh gloriously assembled devotees Gloriously assembled devotees Oh gloriously assembled devotees Oh gloriously Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Oh Prem Hari Hari Oh Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today is Monday, 27th of July. I'm filling in for Padma, who's very busily engaged in his service. So we'll try and say something constructive about slokas. What sloka do we have on the board? 383. Okay. Asina Uryam Bhagavatam Radyam Sankashanam Devam Akuntasatvam Vivitsavas Tatvam Ata Rasya Kumar Mukya Moneo Anvapicham Asinam Uryam Bhagavantamadyam Sankashanam Devam Akuntasatvam Vivitsavastatvam Ata Parasya Kumar Mukya Munayo Anvapicham Asinam Uryam Bhagavantamadyam Sankashanam Devam Akuntasatvam Vivitsavastatam Ataparasya Kamar Mukya Munayo Vricham Asinam, seated, Uryam, in the bottom of the universe, Bhagavantam, unto the Lord, Adyam, the original, Sankarshanam, Sankarshan, Devam, the personality of Godhead, Akuntasattvam, undeterred knowledge, Vivitsava, being inquisitive to know, Tattvam Mata, truth like this, Parasya, regarding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kumara, the boy saint, Mukya, headed by, Munya, great sages, Anvapracham, inquired like this. Translation, some time ago, being inquisitive to know, Sanat Kumar, the chief of the boy saints, accompanied by other great sages, inquired exactly like you about the truths regarding Vasudev, the Supreme, from Lord Sankashan, who is seated on the bottom of the universe. Purport. This is a clarification of the statement that the Lord spoke directly on the Srimad Bhagavatam. When and unto whom the Bhagavatam was spoken is explained herewith. Questions similar to those put forward by Vidura were asked by great sages like Sanat Kumar and Lord Sankashan. The plenary expansion of Supreme Lord Vasudeva answered them. Move on here. Text 4. At that time, Lord Sankashan was meditating upon his Supreme Lord, whom the learned esteem as Lord Vasudeva, but for the sake of the advancement of the great learned sages, he slightly opened his lotus-like eyes and began to speak. Text 5. The sages came from the higher planets down to the lower region through the water of the Ganges, and therefore the hair on their heads was wet. They touched the lotus feet of the Lord, which are worshipped with various paraphernalia by the daughters of the Serpent King when they desire good husbands. So, the Ganges water, so I've got the attention of some ladies here. Anyway. The Ganges, purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Ganges water flows directly from the lotus feet of Vishnu, and its course runs from the highest planet of the universe down to the lowest. The sages came down from Satyaloka by taking advantage of the flowing water, a process of transportation made possible by the power of mystic yoga. Right? So how do the sages go down the river? By their yogic powers. If a river flows thousands and thousands of miles, a perfect yogi can at once transport himself from one place to another simply by dipping in its water. The Ganges is the only celestial river which flows throughout the universe, and the great sages travel all over the universe by the sacred river. The statement that their hair was wet indicates that it was directly moistened by the water originating from the lotus feet of Vishnu, the Ganges. Whoever touches the water of the Ganges to his head surely touches the lotus feet of the Lord directly and can become free from all the effects of sinful acts. If after taking a bath in the Ganges or being washed of all sins, man guards himself against committing further sinful acts, then certainly he is delivered. But if he again takes up sinful activities, his bath in the Ganges is as good as that of an elephant who nicely takes his bath in the river but later spoils the whole thing by covering himself with the dust of the land. Amagena Timarandasya Jananjana Sulakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmay Shri Gurve Namaha. So on Friday we were talking about Srimad Bhagavatam here, how Vidura posed so many questions. I think somebody explained 42 questions about trad. It was curious to know how this universe unfolded and how this knowledge came to be. So Maitreya begins to answer these questions here, and he explains in verse 3 here that just like you, sages, some sages were inquisitive to know, and these happen to be the four Kumaras. So in the scheme of things, in the state of the universe, we know that the first person to be born in this universe was Lord Brahma, who was born on the top of the lotus flower. And then when he gathered all his thoughts and realized the process of creation, it was entrusted upon him to introduce all the different jivas that were in that stem which he'd just come from, ready to take birth into the universe. So first of all, he gave birth to the four Kumaras. So they were the originals, the original ones that were born. And they were great sages that just came after Lord Brahma, but they were transcendentalists. They were all really on the transcendental platform. And they just explained to him, sorry, we don't want anything to do with the procreation. This material universe is very, very messy, contaminated by the modes. Just we don't want to go there. We're already on this next level. So he became slightly angry at that, and then Lord Shiva was born from his forehead, just that manifestation of anger. So the fact is that anyway, the sage Kumara, they began to inquire. They went down to the Govardhana Ocean. So let's read this again. Some time ago, being inquisitive, no. Sanakamara, the chief of the boy sages, accompanied by other great sages, obviously three brothers, inquired exactly like you about the truth regarding Vasudeva from Lord Sankarshan, who is seated on the bottom of the universe. So Lord Sankarshan is floating on the Govardhana Ocean and he is supporting Lord Vishnu. And at that time, Lord Sankarshan, who's got many hoods, that's his serpent form, was meditating upon his Supreme Lord, whom the Lord esteems Lord Vasudeva. But for the advancement of the great learned sage, he slightly under his lotus-like eyes began to speak. So that means Lord Sankarshan began to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam to these great sages. So we know that the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 4 seed slokas in the Srimad Bhagavatam, so which describe the workings of the universe in the second canto. About I only know one line, Atmaranam Munasyo, that the great that the Supreme Lord is self-satisfied. And then it talks about the qualities of the Supreme Lord, how he's the creator, and everything comes from that. And so the Bhagavatam flows from there. So sometimes the thought might cross our mind, which it did to me just the other day. So where does the Bhagavatam come from? We know that 5,000 years ago, Vyasadeva compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it was all these conversations, but how did they come about? We know that Krishna spoke Bhagavatam to Maitreya, and he also spoke to Uddhava, but it even goes back further than that. So it goes back to just that point of creation. So at that point, some point in time when the creation was coming about, the Kumaras were there and other great sages were there also. There was an inquiry and the sages heard about the Srimad Bhagavatam being spoken. So they used the method of travel, which was the Ganga. So just reading this is amazing that the Ganga flows from the top of the universe down here and the sages can take advantage of it. Prabhupada told us a story once that, the yogi, when he's perfected his mystic city, he's got 8 mystic cities that he can become lighter than the lightest and bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest, and so on and so forth, manifest something from somewhere and show it to you. All these different great attributes where he can manipulate material energy. And one thing he can do, he can expand himself into 8. So what he does, he goes into the Ganga and he dips his head under the Ganga and he can reappear 8 times along the different places, in, not only in the Ganga, I think, but in the holy rivers. And he appears in those places. And the thing about that is Prabhupada saying he might have that potency. He gets the benefit of bathing in 8 holy rivers, but he can only do the same thing at once. He can't do different things. So if he's holding his nose, he comes up holding his nose like that. And it's quite amazing. Once that my first ever experience of India, I went to this Kumbh Mela, and I thought it was going to be a sort of music festival. Come to the Kumbh Mela, yeah, okay, sounds like a plan. And there was like 5 million Hindus there, and me, one Westerner, right? I found another one. I had one destination. I was walking with this. He was, a disciple of a Shivite. We walk along the Ganga, and I'll never forget the Ganga is like in Rishikesh. If you've been to Rishikesh, you know how fast the Ganga flows. It's just mighty. It just, sweeps you away. If people want to take bath in the Ganga, sometimes they hold on to ropes or they just go just near the shores, because if they sort of go too far, whoom, off they go, right? So there's this yogi in the middle of the Ganga. He's just standing right in the middle of the Ganga. He's just sort of, washing his arms and, washing himself. Am I seeing an apparition? I said, George, is there a guy in the middle of the river? He says, don't worry about it, he's just showing off. Oh, okay. So, so quite possibly he's one of these mystic sages that appears and he's got control over material energy like that. So these sages, it's not hard that they hear the vibration that, Bhagavatam's being spoken. Same thing happened when Maharaj Pariksit was sitting by the bank of the Ganga and he was searching for information, and the word went out along the, cosmic radar of the universe that there's going to be Bhagavatam being spoken shortly. So all the sages actually appeared. So this is one way of appearing. Another very, very sort of imaginative thing for us to see or to conceive of in our mind's eye. It said that the universal form of the Lord is there, all the stars, and we have the Sismara planetary system. When we look up, we see, we call it the Milky Way, right? But in Vedic literatures, it's called the Sismara planetary system. So that's the path of the Ganga that it takes, and it flows down through all the paths, comes here to the Earth planet, and it's going at such a rapid rate of knots that Lord Shiva, in his mercy, halts the flow of the Ganga in his hair, and then as she trickles down through Gangotri and other different places, and then benedicts the people of the Bharatvass. So it's said that the Ganga, the glories of Ganga are vast, they're innumerable. They said it serves three functions there. Not only does it serve as a byway for the sages, but it also serves, when it flows down, it is the mighty river, and it creates fertile plains, and the farmers farm along the banks of the Ganges, and civilization can exist very nicely. Ganges water, and you grow plants. And previously, Vedic civilization used to depend upon these rivers for their subsistence. So that was the first one. The second one is, it's just like Prabhupada says here, that if after taking a bath, whoever touches the water of the Ganges to his head surely touches the lotus feet of the Lord directly and become free from all effects of sinful acts. So people know this. The Hindus would call it, the people who are familiar with the Vedas know the benefits of karmic actions and reactions. They will make a beeline for the Ganga and other holy rivers, but Ganga in particular, to put the waters of the Ganga on their head and get the mercy of the Lord, because, as it says, it is directly connected with the Lord. So Prabhupada goes on to say that if after taking a bath in the Ganges or being washed of all sins, man guards himself against committing further sinful acts, then certainly is delivered. But sometimes it's like in our tradition that as human beings we are fraught with defects. We have all these defects that we commit mistakes. We have a propensity to cheat. So, and there's two others. We're imperfect senses and can never remember the fourth one. I always get 3 out of 4, sorry. Yeah, that happens all the time, that we're in illusion that we're the supreme controller all the time, that we're in control, right? So, so therefore, so we make mistakes, and we've got the propensity to cheat. So we cheat ourselves. We go to the river, we bathe, and then the next day we're back into the same old grind again under the influence of the modes of material nature. It's just like in Christianity. If anyone's brought up a Christian, particularly, I know in the Catholic Church, the confessional, that was a really big aspect of the faith, that you had to confess your sins to the priest. And I feel sorry for the priest. He opens the door. Yes, what are your sins? Bless me, Father. I remember this. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned In the last week, I've done this and I've done that. And it's the same old, same old. It's just the same old every week, just repeat every week. And okay, that is. Sometimes you get a little bit of a sermon, just sort of, try and steer on the path of goodness and follow the ways of the Lord. Would have made a good priest, actually, God bless you, like that. And for your penance, you have to say 3 Hail Marys. Yes, Father. Okay, so off you go. You say 3 Hail Marys, you feel cleansed. So that's the corresponding sort of aspect of the, Hindu faith, going and bathing in the sacred rivers. But Prabhupada describes that process that, but if he again takes up sinful activities, his bath in the Ganges is as good as that of an elephant who is nicely taking his bath in the river, but later spoils the whole thing by covering himself with dust on the land. So as you know, I didn't prepare this class. I'm just sort of fishing my way through it, so I can tell you this story they have about an elephant. In Mayapur in the early days in 1994, we were all living there, and there was an elephant at that point. He's passed away. His name was Gulab. And elephants have amazing memories that they remember you. They remember who you are. So I had 2 little boys, and so we used to feed the elephant. We either give him coins or give him bananas, right? And so one point in time, we're looking for the elephant, and they had the elephant pond where the pond in the Samadhi is. That used to be his place, and came in very handy a couple of times. That one point in time, Jaipatak Maharaj just arrived back, and all his enthusiastic disciples jumping up and down. They're heading to a temple, and it was this like avalanche of human beings coming down the path. And I had the boy in the pram, and I just grabbed the boy and I put him in the elephant compound as they walked past, and I'm just staying there and walk past to pull him out again. But we went inside once, we were looking for Gulab, and he was bathing in the water there, and he saw us and he put his trunk out, and we put a puri in his trunk, and he ate the puri while he was in the water, so... So it's, the elephants, but then they sprinkle, they bathe in the dust again. There's a reason that everybody does it. So animals do that, not only elephants, but, see animals smell something on the ground, a dog sniffs it, then he rolls in it and you go, oh my God. And then he comes in your place and you ask why I don't like dogs. It's like, anyway. So this is the nature of the living entity. But the fact the Ganga is so potent that it can actually mitigate all the different reactions and sub-reactions that you have. So that's the second purpose. So the first purpose is that it fertilizes all the soil and it makes the land grow, and it gives sustenance to the civilization. The second one is it purifies all your sins. And the third one is that it is great opportunity for the sages to come and sort of take bath of the Ganges in the respect that they're offering respect to the Lord, in the sense that they're offering respect to the Lord, and because of their purity, they actually take all the sins away from the they absorb all the sins that the Ganga is accumulating, because Ganga is a personality. She's a beautiful manifestation. There's a beautiful manifestation of demigoddess Ganga, and actually I think there's one of Krishna's wives in Dwarka, isn't it? Kalindi. She was a manifestation of the river Ganga. Is that right? Ask the sages. Oh, the Yamuna. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So the Ganga's also, Yamuna's sister. Well, there we go. So the Ganga is a personality. And I'll just finish with one story there. Since we're talking about purification, it's very important that actually sages come and purify the water of the Ganga, because actually the Ganga feels being personality, she feels everybody bathing and dumping their sins on these, on her. So there was one story, Akshaya Tirtha, that story about Krishna in Vrindavan when he was a little boy. He was living, and you can visit that place. There's a temple there where it's got where Krishna lived. In what's the name? Where Krishna lived? That place. Just sort of. Anyways, it's on top of the hill. I'll think of it in a second. And he was there with his father, and there's a place called, it's Nanda Sarovar. There's a lake there. It's a beautiful lake there. And we go there on Akshaya Tirtha. On that particular day, it's very auspicious to go there, but you have to go really early in the morning because a lot of people go there to, whatever you do, it's a start. Akshaya Tirtha means that if you want to start a business, you start it on that day. You visit that place. If you want to get married, it's an auspicious day to get married, Akshaya Tirtha. If you, whatever you want to do, so they start Akshaya Tirtha. So on that particular, the day before that, Akshaya Tirtha, Nanda Maharaj, Krishna was only a little boy, and he saw his Mother Yasoda was cooking all these pakoras and all these succulent sweetmeats called to take away, samosas, ladus, filling up a whole bag. He goes, Mother, what are you doing? She said, I'm making these for your father. Nanda Maharaj is going on a pilgrimage. Really? So this was news to Krishna. He's a toddler, right? Just learned how to speak. Where's he going? Where's he going? He said, I'm too busy cooking. You ask your father, right? So Krishna goes, you all heard this story, haven't you? So Krishna goes looking for his father, Nanda Maharaj, and Father, where are you going on a trip? Where are you going? He said, yes, my son, I'm going to Prayag. Actually, it is a very auspicious pilgrimage to make because you go to Prayag, there's a sacred river there, and you bathe in the river and all your sins are washed away and you become purified. So it's our tradition that we go to Prayag. And so Mother Yasoda is making all these goodies, this beautiful food to eat on the way there and back. So Krishna had two purposes there. First of all, he wanted to eat the food. He was always hungry, a little boy. And the second was he didn't want to lose his father for so long. His father's gone away. No boy wants to see the father. When the father walks out, they all start crying. Oh, where's he going? They're all happy to see his father when he comes back. So Krishna said, Father, it's not a very good day for you to go. Why don't you wait till Akshaya Tirtha? On that day, it's really good to make a journey. So Nanda Maharaj said, that sounds like a good idea. Krishna's all knowledgeable, and so if he took that idea from his boy, why didn't I think of that? I'll go tomorrow morning. So next morning comes right early in the morning, right? Nanda Maharaj, he goes to Nanda Sarovar, the lake, which is still there, and he's bathing in the lake, right? And he's seeing this huge fellow, right? This huge fellow bathing in the river and laughing, splashing his arms, and he's really curious, who is this fellow bathing in the waters here? And he comes up to him and says, sir, I haven't seen you before. Who might you be? You're not one of us villagers. He said, actually, I am Prayag. I'm the personification of Prayag. And at Akshaya Tirtha, I come here to cleanse myself of all the sins, because all the people come to Prayag and they dump their sins on me. That's Varanasi. He says, so I've come here. This is the most auspicious place here, and I take a bath. And Nanda Maharaj was very curious, and he looked across further along. There's all these beautiful celestial ladies there. He knew they weren't locals because they had these beautiful embroidered saris with silver and gold, and they looked just absolutely stunning. And he was sort of curious because he's the Nanda Maharaj is like the king there, and he was excuse me, but where are you ladies from? And he said, we're all the celestial rivers. We're the Godavari, the Nirmada, the Sindari, probably Ganga too. And we come here on the Kshaya Tirtha because so many people bathe in our rivers and they become they contaminate us. So every year we come to Kshaya Tirtha and we get free of the contamination then. So they're bathing away, having a beautiful time. So Nanda Maharaj, he goes back to the house there, and Krishna goes, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. Well, how did Lala? He's Krishna's Lala, and what's he called? Nanda Maharaj, Dina Pandit. Baba, Baba, Baba. Where are you going now? Are you going now? He goes, no, Lala, I decided I'm not going. What's the point of me going when I'm going there to become free of all my sins? But all those people, all those personalities that are over there, they come here to become purified. What's the point? No, I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere. Right? So that's the Kshaya Tirtha. That's in March, sometimes very auspicious day. So the devotees, so we have that consciousness that we want to make advancement on our path of Krishna consciousness. And, when we go to Mayapur or we go to Vrindavan, we bathe in the sacred rivers. And not only is that we become purified, but we actually pay respect to the sacred river as being a devotee of the Lord. And that way, if we have the proper attitude, then we help benedict the whole human society with the process of Krishna consciousness, giving everybody Krishna consciousness. So, does anybody have any questions or comments or stories or something they would like to? Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's so beautiful to know that the Ganges flows off Lord Krishna's foot, and so it's nice to think you're bathing in that Charamrita. And there was something I was just going to add to that, and I've just forgotten it. There is scientific proof, you can Google it, that the Ganges water is pure. Even though you can go there and you can see dead bodies floating down there and you can see dirty bubbles, but the actual water is no matter what they do to it, it's pure. So I just think, like my mother's looked into it and she goes, because I was told her I was swimming in it quite often, and she said, even the scientists say it's pure. So I just wanted to add that. But another thing that I remember hearing that when you do go to the holy dhams, more purifying than swimming in the Ganges is the holy people. Do you want to make a comment on that?
Yeah, the sages. So that's very relevant. It's just like here, the sages, they using the Ganga as a means to come and hear. So I think the Bhagavatam in so many instances was spoken by next to the Ganga. So it's a sacred place. So when you go to a sacred place, it's more auspicious than to actually, perform the action. It's more auspicious to hear from the great sage. So we hear that story about Srila Prabhupada, who pleased his spiritual masters so much that he wasn't one of the intimate circle of devotees, but he went on a pilgrimage to Vrindavan. So Bhakti Siddhanta used to have this Mahaparikrams around Vrindavan, all the devotees who were his disciples, thousands of them, they would come to hear from Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. So on that particular day, it was organised that they were going to a particular place of pilgrim, a very auspicious temple, right? So all his disciples went off to visit that temple, and at that point in time, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj was also giving class. So as he was giving class, he noticed that there weren't so many, everybody gone off to the temple, but Srila Prabhupada stayed behind to hear from him. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he noted that this person likes to hear. And he was very pleased that Prabhupada stayed to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam or the discourse on Krishna from him rather than just visit that place, a pilgrimage. So that set the mood. Yeah, it accentuates what you were saying. Yeah, thank you. Well done. Oh, yes, Hari Bhakti. Hang on, well, just a second. We'll give you the microphone because someone else abroad might like to hear. Yeah.
I didn't hear very clearly outside the 4 benefits of Ganga Devi.
Three. There's three. First one, it gives sustenance to everybody because it is such a strong river, and you can harness the power of the water to fertilize your crops, to drink from and cook with, and so it's very functional, right? It's the biggest river. And the second one is that the people who touch the waters of Ganga have all their sins purified. So I elaborated so much, but Prabhupada says here that that's very nice, you become purified, but don't be like the elephant that bathes in the Ganga and then he rolls in the dust of the river and he becomes dirty again. So become contaminated again. The third one is that the sages go there to become, not only become purified, but actually to take the reactions from the reactions are built up in the sacred river. So the sages, because of their purity, they absorb the reactions of the Ganga and revitalize it and refresh it. And in that way, Sadhana pointed out that the main aspect of visiting the sacred river is to hear from the sages, because they are the sort of the essence of the whole, the essence of life, that they'll give you instructions on how to make advancement on the spiritual path. Okay? Thank you. Okay? Yeah, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah.